Hi, my name is Pam, and I want to welcome you to this session on budgeting for life. I currently work as a financial aid analyst, which gives me the opportunity to talk with students about financial literacy topics. I am also a graduate student at Wright State University in the Instructional Design for Digital Learning program. Today, we will look at one of the most important adulting skills you can learn. The younger you are when you develop these skills, the longer you'll have to live a less complicated life. It isn't very hard to do, and it doesn't take a lot of time, but it does require thoughtful planning and self-discipline to make it work. With some practice, you'll find that the principles for managing your money are quite simple. How much better it is to learn these principles as a young adult before you've even had a chance to make a big mess of your finances. On the pre-assessment for this training, some of you said that you'd like to know how to manage your money so you can live a comfortable lifestyle. A lot of you said you'd like to be prepared for retirement years. And many of you said you'd just like to be able to pay your bills every month and have a good credit rating. Everyone agreed it would be a good idea to learn more about how to budget your money, which is the focus of our time today. We will first look at the key principles for budgeting, and at the end, you will complete a project to practice your new budgeting skills. Now, each of you have worked some sort of a job, so you know how it feels to have some cash to spend. It makes you feel good to have some money in your wallet and to make choices on how you spend it. The principles we will talk about today can apply to any amount of income you earn. If you learn to apply these principles to your smaller paychecks now, when you finish college and start making a higher salary, you'll find that you'll be able to meet your financial goals with less struggles than those who haven't learned how to manage their money.
Here are the learning objectives for today. By the end of this training, you will be able to differentiate between needs and wants when spending money. You'll be able to develop a plan for saving money. You'll be able to recommend to friends why they should not rack up credit card debt. And you'll be able to create a personal budget for spending and saving money. Getting started in life is hard. There are times when it would be nice if money did grow on trees, because then we wouldn't have to figure out how to come up with money to pay for everything we need and want. It can be stressful. Surprisingly, the phenomenon of living paycheck to paycheck is prevalent, even for some who have six-figure incomes. Most of us think that we can fix this problem by working harder to make more money. Is this the answer? It could help, but really most of us just continue the pattern of spending everything we make. This is how it works when people who do not budget get paid. They figure out what they need to use for immediate bills and then spend the rest of it for everything else they need or want until the next payday comes. The difference with budgeting is that you plan how to spend every dollar you earn. You manage your money purposefully rather than haphazardly. Before we move on to the first principle of budgeting, I'd like you to reflect for a moment on the mindset you have for managing money. Are you a spender? Or are you a saver? Are you more inclined to live paycheck to paycheck? Please pause this video for a minute and write down a couple of things that you think would motivate you to not live paycheck to paycheck. People who do not have a budget do not usually know what they spend their money on. On payday, they figure out how much they need for bills, subtract it from the bank balance, and then make decisions on what to spend based on the remaining amount. The first most important thing when creating a budget is to know exactly what you spend your money on. There are two parts to this. The first part is easy. Make a list of all the bills you must pay every month. This would be things like rent, utilities, car payments, insurance, credit cards, and student loans. The second part takes a little more time to do. To make an effective budget, you must know exactly what you spend your money on. Every dollar matters. This is the challenge. For 30 days, you need to keep track of every dollar you spend and categorize it. You will need this information for planning a workable budget. Here are some categories you might use: groceries, gas, car repairs, restaurants, and clothing. The most important thing is that you label every purchase, even the $2 you spend at a lemonade stand. Once you've done this, half the battle of budgeting is over. Now we want to look at something that causes a lot of stress for people: credit cards. This is important in the budgeting process because you want to eliminate this kind of debt. What kinds of things are you tempted to buy on the spot? This is known as an impulse buy. Many times, people use credit cards for impulse buys. I'd like you to pause this video for a minute to make a short list of purchases you've made on impulse. Then for each item, answer these questions. Did I really need to buy it? Did I really need to buy it right away? Could I have bought it elsewhere for a lower price? When you look at your list, did you identify any items that you really didn't need or really didn't need right away? Those are some of the things we end up paying interest on when we put them on our credit cards. Right now, you can expect to pay 30% or more on your credit card balances. Let me explain this in numbers. Let's say you decide to buy a PlayStation 4 system and charge it on your credit card. At 30% interest, paying the minimum payment of $15 for 4 years, you will pay an extra $267 in interest for that purchase. Now let's say you decide to charge some furniture in the amount of $4,000. With a minimum monthly payment of $101 at 30% interest, it will take a whopping 16 years to pay it off. The amount of interest you will pay during that time will be $14,877. This is how people get stuck in the debt trap, unaware of the danger because it is too easy to buy on credit. The hard work and discipline that is required to get out of this kind of debt is much harder than disciplining yourself to not get into debt in the first place. One very important principle of budgeting is being prepared for emergencies. Most of us think that credit cards were designed for this purpose. But as you are fully aware, that is not the best way. No one is exempt from unexpected expenses. Cars break down. Houses need repairs. People lose jobs. Appliances break. And there are always out-of-pocket medical costs when you least expect it. Most people don't have savings for emergencies. When you budget, you will need to decide how much you need for emergencies. A short-term goal to save at least $1,000 is a good start. Something is better than nothing. Once you have that, you can work towards saving 3 to 6 months of your living expenses. What other kinds of savings should you have in your budget? The most common things people save for are gifts, large purchases, retirement, and fun money. Why do we not save money? Most of us think we don't earn enough money to save. Is this true? People who believe this are usually the same people who don't know what they spend their money on every month. Budgeting makes it possible to save something. Here's a way to get started. Open a savings account and deposit $5 if that is all you can budget at first. Once you get used to putting something in savings on a regular basis, it gets easier. As time goes on, you should be able to increase the amount. So how do you do all this? How can you have extra money to save for all these things? Here's a tip. Make a goal to not spend more than 50% of your income on your basic needs. If you already spend more than that, for housing, utilities, loan payments, and other basic expenses, you'll be able to fix that through budgeting. One huge benefit of budgeting long term is that it reduces stress. Life is more enjoyable when you make financial goals and plan for them. Budgeting makes it possible to have more time to enjoy life rather than having to work extra hours or worrying about how you're going to pay all the bills. Now let's put this all together. When you start working on creating a budget, the first thing you'll want to do is list all your needs. What is a need? It's your bills and the stuff you have to pay for to live. So it would include groceries and gas as well as your rent and transportation. The next thing to make a list for is your wants. This would include eating out, candy bars, concerts, travel, and even Netflix. If you want to spend money on it, you need to list it. That way, you can plan for it. Now that we have touched on the basics of budgeting, we are ready to practice our skills. At the beginning of class, I emailed an activity packet to you. In it, you'll find an instruction sheet, a budget worksheet, a checking account register, and a PDF with budget items. There are some predetermined figures for certain budget items to help you get started. You'll find that you have an annual salary amount after taxes of $30,000 to work with. However, you only need to figure out 1 month of the budget for this assignment. Follow the instructions as closely as you can, and you shouldn't have problems finishing it. Feel free to email me at pretendemail@budgets.org if you have questions. One thing students have questions about is how to use the check register for the assignment. This is where you'll list the deposits from your paychecks and the withdrawals used for spending from your checking account. You'll see that there is a beginning bank balance on the register. The important thing is to put everything in order by date and keep a running balance. It's best for this activity to complete it after you've come up with the dates and amounts for all the budget items. This will help you know if you've budgeted the money correctly in relation to the amount you have in your account. When you are done with the assignment, please email your work to me. There are no right or wrong answers for this project. I'm mostly interested in seeing how you applied the principles you learned. I can give you feedback if you'd like. When I get your email, I will send you some additional resources for managing your money. It will also include helpful information about identity theft and credit scores. I'll even send you some scenarios on how to become a millionaire by the time you retire with different saving strategies. Please feel free to let me know if there's anything more you'd like to know or if I can clarify something for you.
I hope you feel more confident now with your ability to budget with a purpose. Remember the key points. Know what you spend, control what you spend, reduce what you spend, save money for emergencies, save money for retirement, large purchases, and fun things. And don't get stuck in the credit card trap. The secret of successful money management is twofold. It's about spending less money than you earn and saving as much as you can. When you're 80 years old and you look back on your life and the way you managed your money, what would you prefer to see? The person who struggled much of the time trying to figure out how to pay for normal and unexpected expenses as well as modern conveniences, working 2 or 3 jobs while juggling responsibilities at home and missing out on meaningful time with loved ones? Or would you rather see the person who took steps early on to discipline their spending habits, who waited a little longer to purchase convenience items, who worked normal hours, had a plan that worked for paying normal and unexpected expenses, and spent time doing things they enjoyed with their loved ones? Thank you for participating in this class today. I hope you will be able to take these foundational concepts and use them to budget an amazing life where your dreams can become reality.